be a part of the next phase, Mr. Atvat, as a part of a national project. Yes, sir.
Alok's dear friend Sanjay Sinha, also managing director of MCRIL, the international rating agency. My question is actually for Greg. It's a point I'd like to put to him. Greg, you made an excellent presentation as usual, and you kind of said that growth is not necessarily linked to over-indebtedness and doesn't have to be. I have it here somewhere. It doesn't have to lead to risk, and it doesn't have to lead to over-indebtedness. What happens is that systems are overstretched, and that's what causes a problem. And you suggested as one of the solutions that everyone talks about credit bureaus, and you talked about access mapping and monthly portfolio at risk and so on. I put it to you that none of these are a solution, because credit bureaus, managements, and boards have to be willing to use them before they become effective. You can get a report saying that somebody has borrowed a certain sum of money, but if you're busy pursuing growth, then you're likely to ignore that report. What's more, the monthly mapping of PAR will only work if the PAR being reported by branches to the head office is actually correct. And as a rating agency, I can tell you, in a large proportion of cases with the big MFIs in India, the reporting from the branch to the head office is not correct. And that means your monthly mapping of PAR is not going to work either. I would suggest that the only solution to this is an understanding that there is such a thing as a rate of growth that is too high. And I think 60–70% compound rate of growth, which is what we've had, is too high. I think 40% is the limit. We should not go beyond 40%. I'd stick my neck out on that one.
You want to take this?
Yeah, no, I'll start maybe, but I'm still waiting for a chance to go back at you for that comment. But I'm looking for my opening. But,
I will anyway also react to Sanjay on that one.
No, I think Sanjay is always very useful in challenging the ideas that we put forth simply as ideas. I'd say, in terms of the countries where we had the problem, actually the compound annual growth rate in some of the countries was actually as low as 30% or 40%. What in fact the issue wasn't the rate of growth, it was actually the concentration risk in some of those markets. And it wasn't specifically the MFI rate of growth, it was the market rate. But you're trying to clarify your question. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Yeah, so when you have a smaller market in relation to the size of the market, more MFIs functioning, then obviously a lower rate of growth will be much more appropriate. Okay. Yeah, but my point is it's the rate of growth that's the problem, okay. and that it needs to be tempered. Okay, if I can just make one more point on that, I suspect that this lesson is not going to be learned until one or two spectacular busts take place.
Well, this was the kind of the point. I mean, I wonder if you went to Banex or the investors in Banex, who are, I imagine, busy trying to recover their funds, whether they might want to look at some of the credit bureau information in the future the next time they go in for an investment. And so I would come back to you, Sanjay, and say I think that data is important. I think any country that's been through a crisis, what we hear them say is, we wish we had this data sooner. Now, maybe it wouldn't correct the problem, but what it's going to be there for is for us in the future, and it's not something, so maybe there are countries that prevent the crisis, but maybe we just simply have to live through a crisis. Somebody's got to lose a lot of money. We've got to do damage to our reputation. I don't think that necessarily has to happen, but certainly if what you're saying is true, perhaps we have to live through it first. But it shouldn't stop us from going and building these things today. Why isn't there a good credit bureau in South Asia today for microfinance? We have identification numbers for most countries. India does not. Most other countries have a unique identifying number. Why don't we have a credit bureau yet?
Let me also make a quick comment. Sanjay, with all respect, why do you want to pick a number to growth? Is 40 good? Is 70 bad? Is 90 terrible? And 20 wonderful? I don't know. It really is so much a function of individual institutions. Some can grow very well and manage that growth at whatever the number might be. Others can grow at an even lower rate and not manage that growth. So to me, it's fundamentally a function of the kind of organization you are and how well can you manage your growth. And I would really hesitate to pick a number to that one. And my standard line on this really is, and pardon if I'm not, pardon me for sort of making this sound a bit facetious, but nonetheless, to me, growth has to be growth with sanity and not vanity. That's all. Sane growth.
Let's move on to another relevant subject, linking governance to risk. Perhaps this question is to Alok. Given not his current assignment, but perhaps the city role, in banks, we talk a lot of GRC, governance, risk and controls. And I think the bigger, the more robust institutions have the resources to invest in this. But how important, Alok, certainly from your perspective, have you seen the role or the value addition you have got from an internal audit function to this whole process, moving away from fraud control to providing assurance? Do you think that's an important thing today?
No, absolutely. And to my mind, risk and risk management is something which is has to be a part of the DNA of the organization. And to me, it's almost cultural. Does the organization have the culture of managing risk and the entire process around that? I do have in the audience, again, my ex-colleague, Philip Martin Brown, old seasoned banker, way more seasoned than I am, who will tell us more about this one. But really, the fact is that putting governance by itself on the side, I think purely on the risk end of it, the fact is that what are the techniques you're using, what are the processes, what is the kind of MIS you are generating, and again, to take the point which Sanjay had made, between something as simple as between the branch office reporting and the head office, what is the linkage? What is your system? And is it data which cannot be in any fashion meddled with and played around with, or is it data which can be messed around with? So I think there are lots of elements which come into play there, and it really is, at the end of it, very, very structural, very DNA to the organization.
Myself, Padma Kumar, I am from India, SF Microfinance and Investments Private Limited. And its corporate office in Kerala and registered office is in Chennai. See, my basic question is regarding this, what actually drives somebody to hold, in fact, drive a good independent person to be a director of a company? And second, how a board with an independent director can ensure that the information that is coming to the board is correct? And third one, how we can make an independent director more responsible under our existing systems? Because I think if independent directors are also made more responsible like an executive director or whole-time director, in a sense that can, to an extent that can mitigate some of the corporate deeds. Thank you.
Perhaps I will invite Alok to make a response, but I would like to just give an overall respect from a Sri Lankan perspective. In this country, there is no differentiation between independent and executive directors. Don't have different sets of accountabilities when it comes to overall board responsibility. I think it's a collective responsibility, and it is the responsibility of that individual to take the right precautions in understanding the business and exercising judgment when they contribute something. The second comment I would like to also make is as to how an INET can contribute towards making sure that the right information gets to the board is, I guess, to ask the right questions, the probing questions, and making sure that the whole